Hi guys, this is my G from Mr. GTV and this is my point of view. Looking through the windscreen of my vehicle as I'm driving back from my chess club on Sunday the 27th of February 2022, where the war is escalating and you're able to watch 24/7 from Kiev, live streaming. And in my opinion, it's just horrific. I talked to guys here in Thailand who were glued to it, a bit like the O.J. Simpson court case, or possibly even the Ghislaine Maxwell, or whatever, the Trump court case, or whatever it is that floats your boat. And it's being streamed. People are either in shock and horror or in cognitive dissonance or in awe, I don't know, but it's horrendous in my opinion. And they do call it the theatre of war. And I've talked yesterday about the whole thing being staged on the world stage, and that there's acts of parliament played out by actors and everybody's acting. And Boris Johnson used the words theatre of war and the concert of the battlefield, and to me it's just absolutely horrendous. There is, and this is a hard word to use, and maybe it's not something you're familiar with, but it's satanic, it's Luciferian, it's evil. None of this is good. None of this had to happen. And when you look at the world leaders on this stage, you've got Putin, you've got Kim Jong-un, you've got the Chinese senior government, you've got Thai government, you've got Biden, you've got Johnson, and we're led to believe that they all are against each other, a bit like when you watch the Houses of Parliament in Westminster. You know, you've got Conservatives, Labour, Liberal Democrats, Welsh Nationalists, Scottish Nationalists, the Irish. When you get to a certain level, even in American politics, where you get the Democrats and the Republicans, and you know, basically you've got left wing, right wing, and I've said this before, same bird, left wing, right wing, same bird. These guys right at the top, be under no illusion that this is an illusion, because these guys right at the top, all women, these people, these world leaders, are all in the same Masonic fraternities within their own countries, but they've not signed allegiance to the world. They've signed allegiance to Baal, to Lucifer. Now you might think, what the hell are you talking about, Mike? Do your research. You don't have to look far. The whole fraternity, brotherhood of Masonic belief systems makes them, in this brotherhood, never harm another brother, never reveal the secrets. Trump, whatever you think, is a Mason. Johnson is a Mason. Keir Starmer's a Mason. Biden's a Mason. Putin's a Mason. Chinese leadership, Korean leadership, French, German, go anywhere in Europe and anywhere in the world, Masonic fraternities, and they will answer to that brotherhood first before they come down through the ranks of government. King and country holds no sway of power. They fear breaking the Masonic oaths more than letting down non-Masonic members of the public in whatever country, because we're considered unenlightened, uninitiated, cannon fodder, useless eaters, all those words used by the World Economic Forum at Davos. So this is my point of view, not just looking out the window as I drive home from my chess club in Hua Hin Town to where I live in Nong Shor. It's actually my worldview, and it's open to discussion, and if you disagree and you want to make a constructive comment, I'm open to it. But I think I'm right. This is why these criminals who are also in Masonic fraternities and business people get favoured contracts, get lesser sentences. They select Masonic adjudicators, Masonic mediators, Masonic judges, Masonic bankers, Masonic companies. The whole Google, Facebook, Twitter, all the leading media companies, CNN, BBC, Masonic, the symbolism is there, plain to see. It's in plain sight when you know what you're looking for, and it's not hard to Google it and to look for the symbolism. And then behind that Masonic brotherhood, there's an even deeper, darker fraternity of pure Satanists who believe in what's called sacrifice. They sacrifice themselves, they make a contract in blood. Sounds like a horror film, but it is a horror film. It's a complete horror show, a shit show, and this is the world we live in. And they look at these wars, and they look at the people who they glorify as cannon fodder, always have. World War One, the Boer War, the Great War. Nothing great about war. They glamorise it in Hollywood, but there's nothing glamorous about war. You talk to anybody, and I've spoke to loads of soldiers off the street, North Wales veterans, been all over Europe and travel everywhere talking to people with PTSD and flashbacks and suffering horrendous physical, mental, emotional injuries with no support from what's supposed to be a caring government and a non-caring military department. When you've served your time, you get your pension, such as it is, and you're sent off. Quite often, if you're lucky enough to have your body intact, your mental state is questionable and your emotional equilibrium is loosely shot to pieces. You go into the army as a human being, you come out with the greatest respect and the massive honour to soldiers and soldiers' families, but you come out a different person. And I'm sure there's plenty of people who look back fondly at their service years, and I really honour those people. My uncles and grandparents and father were all there in the military effort, and I've gone over to Gutterslow and helped psychologically with soldiers and service families and civilian staff. War is not glamorous. I don't know anybody who wants a war. I don't know anybody who thinks war is a good idea. And I don't know anybody who can point to any war or any conflict anywhere in the world that's turned out well. That's my point of view. War perpetuates war, it perpetuates killing. They call it the killing fields. And these films like Full Metal Jacket and Dunkirk more recently just show how horrific it is and how frightening it is and how disturbing it is, and with the greatest respect, how pointless it is. And I know we have to go and defend people when wars occur, but I've just been to a chess club, and the people playing the game who are not on the battlefield use people like pawns who suffer in the moment and for the rest of their life, and they're not the people who are going to lose their life. They're just in the war office, the officers, and it's always the same. It's, unless you work your way up to the top from the ranks, it's usually elite families, privileged people, same people who were officers and generals in the war, who took up positions in politics and are making decisions in wars or in peacetime, but for people in society when they've got no experience of the suffering that they're creating with their decisions from their ivory towers, making decisions, eating cucumber sandwiches, sipping champagne and whiskey and brandy, cigars or whatever they do in these meetings, and making life-changing decisions, combat decisions for hundreds of people who serve bravely, honourably, who suffer, and also the hundreds, often thousands, maybe millions of casualties who didn't sign up for the shit show. And in my opinion, that's satanic, that's Luciferian. And when you look at the symbolism within the military all over the world, the same symbols come up that you see in Google, the BBC, major corporations, and they're all rooted in Satanism and Luciferianism. And I know a lot of you, if you're still there, thank you for listening, but we're thinking he's got his tinfoil hat on tonight. Conspiracies, not at all. Not at all. Do your own research, don't take my word for it. And as I say, this is my point of view. As you're looking at my point of view as I'm driving home, this is my point of view on the 27th of February 2022, as this war, which was totally unnecessary, that was created. If you knew the real story behind Putin's decision to do what he did, because he was given no choice. NATO reneged on most of the treaties, and then they've created a narrative to make Putin out to be the baddie, like they did with Saddam Hussein, like they did with Osama bin Laden, like they did with Castro, like they do with anybody. They just make them out to be the baddie. But you look at the British and the American historical record of unlawful wars, Iraq for one, absolutely no difference. We actually went into Pakistan on a black ops sortie to kill Osama bin Laden, or Saddam Hussein, was it? Nothing said about that. Nothing said about a lot of things that the British do, or the CIA do, or the Americans do, that start these situations, false flag operations, secret deals, money laundering, And that's where they're having great difficulty at the moment with all these Russian oligarchs. All this money that the governments took from the Russians, and now they're having to disconnect to save face. But we won't know the half of it. And all the countries that Britain has supplied weapons to fund illegal wars. And we've actually trained a lot of these people that we call insurgents and terrorists. And when it suited us, nothing was said then. But when they turn against us, when they find the power and they stand up for themselves because they've had enough of being abused and used, well, we don't like that. We have to turn them into the enemy. So they change the narrative, and they change it through the media, who were all Masons. And if you understand the symbolism and the hidden language, something I've studied for about 25 years, and I'm not an expert, and I'm not trying to say that I'm right, I'm just offering this as an explanation for this show that we're all watching, a horror show. And all these politicians are just trying to save face. They've got business deals, they sell weapons and ammunitions, and they get contracts for this, for aeroplanes, for tanks, for all the logistics. Massive business is war. And then they blow everything up, and then they get the contracts to rebuild, just like they did in Iraq. They move in, take over, and rebuild the infrastructure. And who gets the contracts? All the people who created the problem, who were shareholders and sit on the board of directors of the companies who do the mopping up, who cleared ground zero. We were told that Bin Laden set it all up and blew down the Twin Towers. Just Google, do your own research on this one. Who cleared ground zero so that all the evidence of the thermite was removed? It was Bin Laden Construction. You can't make it up. Bin Laden Construction, who Bush and Blair had been having meetings with literally 2 or 3 days before the Twin Towers were attacked on 9/11. Don't tell you that, do they? You don't have to look hard to get the evidence. The Bushes were hand in hand with the Bin Ladens. Good mates, all in the same fraternities, all agreeing to set up the situation. A shit show where thousands of people were killed, not just on the day but afterwards, because of the asbestos and the dust. All the firefighters got first-hand experience of that, because my daughter was a firefighter and she met the New York firefighters, who tell a different story from what the media narrative is. But of course, anybody that comes out and says what really happened, the explosions and what they really were, the experts, well, you can't say anything, you're deleted, discredited or killed. Exactly what's going on at the moment with the cancel culture. Anybody that's got a different point of view from the agenda, wow. Can't say it, don't say it, otherwise you're deleted. And people are so dependent now on social media that they don't want to be deleted. How do you get the information out? It's exactly what's happening with this disease that we're all led to believe. Anybody from the truth movement that wants to tell the truth, oh no. So it's a very interesting world that we live in. And I'm driving back now to my place to have my dinner, having played chess. I started off by saying that this is rolled out for their entertainment and for our shock and horror. It's a massive distraction from the corruption that's going on in world governments and world control, and bringing in more suppression The disease went out and the war's come in, but be under no illusion that we've finished with the jabberoonies and the old COVIDs. No, 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 no. That's just been put on the back burner. It's look over here while we do this over here. Trust me, it's going to be crisis, 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 chaos, 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 fear, fear, fear. Don't buy into it. Switch off the television, don't watch it. Don't believe what you're being told. You'll do far more metaphysically with prayer and thought and love than you ever will do physically, because this is, as I say, it's a spiritual war. And if you want to know more about that, I'm here for a chat. I'm going down a dark road and this is a dark subject, and I'm normally positive, and I am positive in my own life and in my own mindset and in my own heart, because I know that I'm here at the moment to be part of the shift, because society's gone down the wrong path. We've moved away from the light into the darkness, and I'm all about being light and bright, being enlightened myself, and then sharing it with everybody else. Be powerful, be light, be bright. Don't believe the bullshit. Switch it all off and live your own powerful life, unless it's actually at your front door. And pray for it and lobby, but don't go into fear. Be powerful, enjoy your mind. Have a wonderful Sunday. Take care, God bless.